As a small business owner, if you're using workers that are on an Employment Authorization Document or an EAD, I'm sure you're aware, but if you're not, all the rules changed back on October 30th, a month ago, 2025. And those things are no longer auto-renewing, which could get you in a little trouble. So if you have workers on EADs and you want to know what's different and how it can affect you, we're going to cover that in today's show. Welcome to the KeyHire Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Harlock, creator of KeyHire Solutions, where we help small business grow with our talent. And I'm going to be your host today. Before we dive in, I have a couple things to ask you to do to help us out. As you know, we produce this show for small business owners, and our reach is growing. We're going to get that into that in just a little bit, but we are overwhelmed by the response we get from the show, and we do this show for business owners. So if there's something out there that you want us to talk about, first things first here, there's a link right in the show notes that says send us a text, your ideas, your topic ideas. Hit that button on your handheld, do a little voice to text, say, hey, Corey, could you do a show on this? Or, hey, Corey, I love the show. Keep going. We love the words of encouragement. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search up Corey Harlock. Or most importantly, subscribe, follow, like the shows on YouTube, whatever platform you're listening to, Apple, Spotify. That means a lot, and it will help us spread the word. So if you could just take 5 seconds out of your day and do one of those three things, we would appreciate it. Another thing we'd love your help with is we have been nominated for the Best of Small Business Awards, Best Business Consultant in Houston, and we could use your help if you throw us a vote. We're going to put a link in the show notes to the Best of Small Business Awards. You're going to have to go in there. If you don't already have an account, you have to create a little account. It'll take you 30 seconds. Type in KeyHire, scroll down, you'll see our name drop up, and then just hit the vote button on the bottom, and boom, it's done. And we are on our way to becoming, as voted by Houston, the best business consultant in Houston. Cool. So that's all we have on those things. A little follow-up, Tara Wagner's episode we had a few weeks back on the Instagram business card strategy got a lot of really cool comments, and she helped share that around on LinkedIn. And Cheryl O said that she thought it was an interesting take and she never thought of using Instagram that way. Really cool. And Kevin L said simply he thought the episode was fire. So thank you, Cheryl and Kevin, for the feedback. We appreciate it. Keep it coming. Drop us a comment. I'll mention your name on the show. So about a week and a half ago, Thursday, November 20th, I went to the Houston Business Marketing Alliance Lantern Awards, where again, we were nominated for the best podcast. We were up against 4 other podcasts for this award. And the way it works is with the Lantern Awards, you can get an award of excellence, which is kind of the entry-level award, the Great Job Award, or you can win the category and get the Lantern Award. What's really cool here is our little podcast won the Lantern Award. We were up against 4 other podcasts in the area here. And the Lantern Award, KeyHire Small Business Podcast brought home the Lantern Award. So we were super honored and really grateful for all the support we've been getting from everyone. The listenership has a lot to do with it. And just to put that in perspective, I mean, we started the show, Matt and I started doing the show in September of 2023. So just a little more than 2 years ago. And man, we were so excited when we were getting 50 downloads a week. Well, now here we are today, and we get over 11,000 downloads a week, and that number is growing every month. We get more and more and more. And that's why it's really important you help us spread the word and support the show, because we want to get this out to as many people as possible. So that was a very cool experience to go and accept that award here in Houston from the Houston Business Marketing Alliance. Also, shout out to Felicia Perez for helping us get entered into that and be considered for that. We appreciated her hard work on that as well. If you're looking for someone to help you get set up and do awards and do some publicity for you, check out Felicia Perez here in Houston. She does a great job. And then the last piece of housekeeping is I've been wearing this thing around my neck now for a couple weeks. The good news is it comes off today. The sling is gone. I wish I had a better story for you. We were doing some rearranging here at the house. I was lifting a very heavy TV and I popped my bicep tendon off the bone and had to get it surgically repaired. So it has been 6 long weeks. We spent 2 weeks in a hard splint, 4 weeks in this stupid sling thing. And today that's going to come off and I'll be able to start using my arm again. I won't be able to be doing any heavy lifting, but at least we'll be back on track. So let's get back into this EAD thing, this Employment Authorization Documentation. So let's start with some definitions. An EAD is what you get when you come in, and it allows you to work for any employer. And this is what we're talking about. What also falls under the EAD is the student visa. So if you're taking if you're an international student and you're taking a STEM course, you can get an EAD that allows you to work in your field while you're in school and after you graduate. That falls under what we're talking about today. What doesn't fall under here today is like an H-1B. So when we immigrated to the US in 2014, my wife came on an H-1B, which was tied to her employer. And I received by default an EAD, which allowed me to work for any employer. We're talking about the EAD and the student visa really is what we're talking about here today. Okay, now that we got that all cleared up, and that's a super high level, I know. I should also say at this point, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice here. I'm just kind of reviewing what's happened, and I want to make sure everyone is aware. So what has changed with the EAD program? What used to happen is when I had my EAD and we applied for our green card, I received an extension on my EAD, and that extension is 560 days, I believe, 540 days, essentially 18 months, to cover me up, to make sure I could still work and everything was still good until I received my green card. It didn't take that long, but that's the intent of it. So the old system was with an EAD, when I applied to renew my EAD, I would automatically get a 540-day extension to cover the processing time, and that would enable me to continue to work. Now, I don't think you got a new card. I think you just got kind of a note saying, hey, you've applied, and if there's any concerns, you could just produce that kind of government document saying, yeah, it's in process, we're renewing it, I've applied, therefore it's still, my old one has been given an extension. What has changed is that extension has gone away. Meaning, if you apply now as your EAD expires and you reapply, if you do not receive your new EAD prior to your old one expiring, that gap, that time in between there, makes you ineligible to work. You can't bring those people into work, and they can't come to work legally. Right? Their work authorization is not existent at this point. They do not have their employment authorization document is expired, and they're waiting for their new one. No more extension as of a month ago, October 30th, 2025. So I hope I made that clear. So now if you have people in your workplace on an EAD, when it expires, if they don't have their new card, they're ineligible to work. So going forward, this can get a little sticky for you, right? What are kind of the consequences of this, or what are the mistakes we can make as a business owner now that we have this information? The first mistake we can make is we can ignore it and just let these people work. I don't advise it, and it can get really costly. So let's just walk through what this looks like. Civic penalties for allowing people to work with an expired EAD. The first time violation could be anywhere from $676 to $27,000 per worker, per unauthorized worker. That's real money. For a second violation, that goes up to $5,400, anywhere from $5,400 to $27,000 per unauthorized worker. And the third offense is $16,000 to $27,000 per unauthorized worker. It can also kind of climb into, if you become what they call a pattern or practice a violator, it can become criminal, and you can face fines of up to $3,000 per unauthorized worker and up to 6 months in jail per authorized worker. Those are pretty heavy duty consequences. Let's stay away from those. Another mistake you can make is failing to track these. So we've been talking about this 3 to 6 month window to renew. The good news is you can apply to renew your EAD 180 days before it expires. Now, I'm no mathematician, but I'm pretty sure that's 6 months. If the average EAD takes 3 to 6 months to renew, and you can apply 6 months before it expires, you could stay covered up. So another mistake you might make is assuming the people you have working for you that are on EADs are going to track that, and they are going to come to you and say, oh, my EAD is going to expire in 180 days. We need to renew this. Think of your passport. I know for me, whenever I travel, I have a little hit of anxiety, and I'm like, oh shit, is my passport still valid? And then I look at it and I go, oh yeah, it's good for another 3, 4, 10 years, whatever, I don't know. But there will come a time where I'm going to open it and I'm going to go, oh crap, this thing expires in like 6 months. I should probably renew it. And that's how people think about their EAD. They're not looking at that. In fact, I'm sure there's people out there working on an expired EAD right now, and they don't even know it's expired. Not that they're mean, malicious people. They're trying to do a bad thing. They just haven't looked. I know I never looked at mine. It wasn't like I memorized that date that it expired and was no longer valid. I just had it. And I knew it was good for a couple of years. And I knew in a couple of years, I'd probably look at it and go, oh crap, I should probably start the renewal process. Never had to personally. But I think that's the way people look at it. So don't assume that people are going to let you know when it's happening and what should we do about this. We need to get a little more proactive about it, and we'll talk about a way we can do that here in just a second. And the third mistake you can make is not communicating this. I don't recommend a company-wide memo to people that are not on EADs because they probably won't appreciate that. It doesn't apply to them, but start taking inventory of everyone in your business that is on an EAD or a student visa, and start communicating with them that, hey, these new rules have taken effect. I'm sure they know, but it's good that you get on the same page with them and let them know, hey, you're a valuable employee. We want to keep you here. So we got to stay on track of this so we can get your renewals in. So the third mistake you can make is just like expecting them to come to you, or expecting them to know the rules, or just dealing with it when it happens, because as we outlined in mistake number 1, that could be pretty darn expensive. So you can't let people work with an expired EAD. You need to understand who in your business is on an EAD and when they expire. And you have to communicate this with the people that are affected by it in your business and with your leadership team. Everyone has to know this is going on because it's a fairly serious issue, or could be a very serious issue if we're not on top of it. So let's talk about how can we kind of get on top of this. We all use Excel. This gets pretty easy. Anyone who's on an EAD goes in your Excel spreadsheet with their expiry date and a 180-day prior date when you can apply for that new EAD. Applying for the EADs the total cost of applying for an EAD is going to be anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500, give or take. So not a huge expense for if you have a very good employee and they're going to get a 5-year extension or a new card that's good for 5 years, you break that out, it's $500 a year to have a good employee. It's also cheaper than paying the fines and or going to jail if it becomes that big a problem. So start a spreadsheet with each of these people and know when that 180-day renewal date pops up. Put a reminder in your calendar, or whoever's managing this should have reminders out in their calendar, and they should know when it's going to pop, when it's going to happen, so you can get on that deal. Because just to reiterate, you can apply to renew 180 days before it expires, and the average renewal takes 90 to 180 days. So that could put you, you might not have an interruption at all. Hopefully you don't, if we get on top of this. Okay, so we got our spreadsheet, we got our 180-day marker in there, we got reminders popping up. We're going to keep all the documentation. If the employee does it on themselves, you got to make sure they give you documentation that it's done. If you're doing it through the company, you'll have all that documentation through your lawyer, your admin, whoever's pushing this through. Keep the documentation, protect yourself. Number 2, you got to communicate proactively with the employees who are on EAD. Let them know, hey, we're coming up. We got to renew. Let's do our homework. Let's see what we need to have. What paperwork, what information do we need to have ready? Don't just kind of wing it and say, we'll deal with it when it comes. Do a little homework now. Heck, get on ChatGPT and say, what do I need to renew an EAD? I'm sure it'll give you a real tidy list. And you can start working with your employees to start producing this stuff now. So when that 180-day mark hits, you're ready to go. And you don't have to wait 2 or 3 weeks for them to get information together, because now we just burned a month or half a month out of our 3 to 6 month window. And then step 3 of being prepared for this is have a contingency. You might have a gap. You might have an employee who applies for their renewal and they don't get it within that 180-day window. What can you do? They can't come to work. And so you're going to need to cross-train people. You're going to need to have some contingencies in place to cover that role and see how you can do that, because there's nothing you can really do at that point if they're not legally able to come to work. We can't bring them to work, but the work's got to get done. And if you haven't thought about that, so when people are applying at this 180-day mark, guess what? 180 days, 6 months is a great training time. That's a great runway to train people up or cross-train people on these skills and get proactive and say, hey, just in case we run into a glitch here and there's a gap in the time we're able to bring you in before your renewal comes in, I need you to train so-and-so up on your job so they can cover you for that time that you're going to be gone. So those are 3 simple things to do. Track it. 180-day is real important. Communicate with those people and make sure we're getting all the documentation now before the 180 days. So at 180 days, we can apply. We don't want to start gathering information at that 180-day mark. And then the third thing is you want to build in some contingencies for cross-training or build relationship with placement agencies, with people that can do these specific roles that can come in, fill that gap if one is to occur. Worst case scenario, if no gaps occur, you have some cross-trained people, which is always great in your business anyway. So I hope that helps you understand. I hope it helps you understand the EAD kind of situation that's going on out there in the labor landscape. It's different. They've removed the big safety blanket. I have a feeling they're going to be looking at each individual and deciding if we're going to renew or not. And so I would even hazard a guess to say expect some of them not to get renewed. So building in those contingencies might be a really good idea anyway, because unfortunately, some of them probably aren't going to get renewed. And you're going to be left without this person who comes back to you and says, I just got a note saying they're not renewing me. I have to leave the country. And that would be unfortunate for you. Now you're totally down someone. And if you haven't put that cross-training or contingency plan in place, it could really put you in a tough spot, leave you a little exposed. There you go. EADs in a nutshell. And I hope no one's in that situation, but if I'm sure, I've worked with my clients that have people on EAD. I know they're out there. So just cover yourself up, make sure you're doing everything the correct way, and make sure you're taking care of your business by putting contingencies in place. All right. A couple quick reminders. Please follow, subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on. Help us spread the word. Those subscriptions just help us in the algorithm and help other people see the show. And we would appreciate that. Don't forget to vote for us for the Best of Small Business Awards, Best Business Consultant. We'd appreciate any support you can give us there. To make sure you send us a note, give us a shout out. Send us a text in the notes at the link that says send us a text or idea. Hey, Corey, love the show. Could you do a show on this topic? Give us feedback on the show you like. If I got anything wrong about EADs, let me have it. Let me know. Send me a note. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me a connection request and just say, hey, Corey, love the pod. Love to connect, and I will accept that connection request. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Probably should have said that off the top of the show. I know we did, and we had a chance to get away and had a great Thanksgiving. So we will see you next Monday. And until then, thank you for tuning in. I'm Corey Harlock. I've been your host. Stop grinding and start growing.